host here from PremierReviewer, and I have a special guest. This is Jason Vong, Mr. You Can't Go Wrong. He is here with me. He graciously allowed me to interview him. And what's up, man?
What is up? Yeah, for sure, man. I'm glad. I know we planned to try to do this for like a couple of months, so I'm glad we're finally getting the ball rolling on this.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, but for the most part, it is what it is. We finally got it, and we're gonna give the people what they want. So
yeah, I'm gonna give your viewers a good show.
That's it. So let's just get right into it, man. How long you been on YouTube for?
Man, I would say, if you ask me like how long I've been making YouTube videos for, I would say a good part of a decade now.
Wow.
But if we're speaking specifically about working on my current YouTube channel, the Sony Alpha Hybrid YouTube channel, that's been going on for about, I'd say, 2 years now. It's
about right. So how many channels have you had before?
I'd say I had about 3 channels before this. So back in high school, YouTube was still fairly new. It's not really a platform that, you would imagine you can make money on. It was just more of a platform for you to share fun videos that you make. So in high school, I just make silly videos with my friends. I just make like skit videos, things that you commonly see now on like Instagram or like Facebook, the skit videos. Like, so we were kind of making that back in the day, and after we all went off to college, we kind of stopped making YouTube videos then. So after I'd say close to around the time that I graduated from college, I got a job at a Japanese production company. So they kind of hired me as sort of like the pop culture guy, like the guy that kind of knows, that kind of understands Japanese pop culture and American pop culture. So they had me sort of start this YouTube channel for them, where we kind of talk about like anime, making food cooking tutorials, going to interview Japanese rock stars. So like sort of like a Japanese news media to America. So we amassed like 50,000 subs on that channel. But after a while, after 5 years of working on that mega Japanese YouTube channel, I decided to pursue my own thing. So I developed a passion in gear. I developed a passion for Sony Alpha cameras. So I just started talking about that on my YouTube channel, kind of found a bit of a following. So I decided to go and pursue that and quit the Japanese channel and just do this full time on my own.
Now, when did you decide to go full time? Like, how many subscribers were you at the time?
Not even that much for this channel. So it was nice having a full-time job doing Japanese, the Japanese pop culture stuff. But I kind of realized that there wasn't really much money going on for that channel, just because the channel itself kind of stopped growing at some point. Like Japanese pop culture isn't exactly as big, and if I try to get into explaining why that is, it's going to take quite a long time. So long story short, Korean pop culture is winning. That has a bigger influence here in America versus Japanese pop culture. So the type of brand deals, sponsorship deals just weren't really quite there with that channel. And I decided that well, not really I decided, it's just more like the funding, the budget for that YouTube channel was kind of shrinking. So I left the company that hired me just to kind of pursue my own thing.
Okay, I got you. I'll say, I think when I came across your channel the first time, you were probably around 2,000 subscribers. And that was probably like a year ago, it feels like. And your channel already passed 50,000, I imagine, right?
Yes.
That's some pretty crazy growth, man. I mean, I've been on this platform for I'll say this channel I'm on right now is at least 5 years, and 4.5, 5 years. And I'm closing in on 12,000. So to see you're at 50,000, man, that's pretty awesome.
Everyone sort of has their own growth because there's other people that obviously like grew way faster, or there's people that I like, some friends that I know that are growing at a very constant pace. So I guess it just kind of depends. But yeah.
So what made you like lean into the Sony campaign? Because I know that's, a lot of people know you because you talk a lot about the Sony Alpha cameras, and it's just like, I don't want to say your niche, but you're a Sony guy, right?
I guess so. I guess that's what I'm known as. The funny thing was, I got hired to do consultant just yesterday. Like,
Wow.
someone actually hired me to go and set up their Sony A7 III, which is still very foreign to me. Like, I've never had someone hire me out to like go set up their camera. So I asked them, I was like, how did you guys find me? Like, I assumed they watched my YouTube channel, but I didn't want to, I didn't, again, I didn't want to make any assumptions. So I was just like, how did you guys find me? They're like, oh, we found you on the internet, watched one of your videos and just decided to like hit you up and see if you can help us out setting up the Sony A7 III. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I guess I am sort of known as the Sony Alpha guy. But to answer your question as to how I got started with Sony Alpha, it all kind of goes back to working for the Japanese production company I was talking about, the Japanese pop culture YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So while my time there, I was pretty much shooting all of the videos that were on that channel. As a sort of media YouTube channel where we cover all aspects of the pop culture here in America, we go do coverage, whether it be video or it be photo. So I started developing passion in the skills that I was using. So learning how to take photos, learning how to shoot videos. So at the time, I was shooting photos on a Canon T3i and a 5D Mark III. And for videos, I was shooting Panasonic GH4. So it got to the point where I'm just like investing in too many different lenses for two different bodies, and I didn't really want to do that. I was like, there must be a hybrid system out there that will allow me to use just one set of lenses and a camera that can be able to shoot both photos and videos, because the Canon at the time when I was choosing a new camera weren't offering a 4K option on their DSLR cameras.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is before the 60 Mark II came out, or the 70 Mark II, or the 5D Mark IV. It was way before that.
It's around the time the GH4 came out. That's when everybody jumped into it.
Yeah, sort of. I think the GH4 already came out like 1 or 2 years already. It was a very fresh time for that camera.
Yep.
And I love the GH4. I love the video capabilities of the camera, but I didn't really like the stills that came out of the camera. I guess for stills, I really appreciate the depth of field, the full frame sensor and the depth of field. So yeah. Canon wasn't really giving me what I wanted, and GH4 was sort of lacking on the photo aspect. So that kind of made me turn my head to the Sony A7S II, because it was creating a lot of buzz. It's a low light beast of a camera. A lot of filmmakers are raving about the low light capability and how awesome it is. It's a full frame camera, yada, yada, yada. And the production company I work for actually bought a Sony A7S II. So I got a chance to play with it a little bit. But then I also saw that Sony had like a counterpart to it, the Sony A7R II. So I was doing research on it, couldn't find too much stuff on the A7R II because everyone else was talking about the A7S II. So I found out some very interesting things about the A7R II. The fact that it could shoot 4K in Super 35 APS-C mode and in full frame versus the A7S II, which was lacking a little bit. You can only shoot 4K in full frame, but not in Super 35 mode. So I see all these sort of advantage of the A7R II for videos, as well as the photo capability, the fast autofocus, but not a lot of people were talking about that on YouTube. So I figured, why don't I just contribute back to YouTube and just put out videos about the A7R II, kind of showcasing both aspects of photos and videos of that camera. So I guess that's how my channel took off.
Yeah, it's a similar story. Like I started out with the T3i from a T3i, jumped into the GH4, from the GH4. It was the same thing. I loved the video features, hated the fact that it was terrible at low light. And I think the GH4 was only what, 16 megapixel?
I don't even know.
I think it was only a
That's
16 megapixel.
I never shot too many stills on that camera because I was just like, look, it looked all right. wasn't 5D Mark III quality or T3i.
Yeah. And then I ended up doing the same thing. I ended up going right to the A7R2 for both video and photography. I mean, I don't mess in photography as much, but ever since I got my A7 III, it was like, you know what? Like, screw the 42 megapixels. I think this is going to be way better for me in my workflow, and it's been great. But we'll get into that. So yeah, okay, I mean, that's how I came across your channel, because I was a Sony shooter myself. So once you get your Sony cameras, the first thing you do is like, all right, let me see what videos are out there. And at the time, it's like you said, not a lot of people were talking about the benefits. The real hybrid camera was the A7R2.
Yes, definitely.
And it was fantastic. I loved everything about it. But damn, when I got my A6300 and I seen the autofocus on that, I was like, wow, the A7R2's autofocus is not as good as I thought it was. So yeah, I ended up starting to stop using it as much because I just relied more on the A6300, because like, I know everybody talks a lot about the dual aspect, the dual pixel the Canon has, but I think the Sony, at the point when they got the A6300, it's like 1A and 1B, and you can go either way at the time. At this point, I don't think that they're you can't go wrong with either system as far as autofocus aspects of it. But I mean, I don't know why everybody just gives Canon so much more love when Sony, the last like 3 generations, the 63 to 65, and then the A7R series, and then the this new A7 Mark III. God, so Sony's got to do something.
I know. I get so confused. I was just recording a video just now, and I was like, RX 100, RX 1056. I was getting so confused. I just like fumbled. That's I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but that's the video that I'm making right now. So yeah, I feel you, man. The A7 RX, everything is just mumbo jumbo now, mumbled up.
It is, but hey, it's okay because we got them talking. Well, they got us talking about them because they're doing amazing work. I just can't see myself at this point switching to another camera body, only because everything I want, and stuff that I didn't even know I wanted, is in the A7S3. I mean, A7 III.
Oh, that's secret right there. That's not tell everyone about the A7S3 now.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just a great system. So you got the A7R2. What was your next purchase? Like, did you get the A6300 right when it came out?
Yeah, definitely. So if we're talking about camera bodies, I got the 6300. Obviously, when the 6500 came out, I was like, okay, I got to get the 6500 now. I got to sell my A6300 just because it had in-body image stabilization. That was the only sole reason that I went ahead and picked up the A6500.
Yeah, I have both. It's crazy. I can't believe I'm saying that. I have the A6300, the A6500, and now the A7. I had the A7R2, and then I sold that, and then I got the A7 Mark III. I'll just keep it simple.
Nice.
And it's been amazing. I can't complain. I mean, I love that camera. Sometimes I go to my office and I just start messing around with it. I don't even do nothing. I just be in the menus, just messing around with it.
Like, what else can I learn about this camera? What else is new? I mean, there's still a lot of things that I haven't really dived into for the A7 III. For example, hybrid lock gamma. I still haven't even touched that yet, but I heard a lot of good things about it. I know a lot of my viewers want me to kind of go in and talk about it, but I still gotta like understand the profile a little bit more first. Yeah, there's still a lot of things to discover.
Yeah, I've seen some videos on it, and actually, this is the first camera, the A7 Mark III is the first camera I decided to even try out S-Log 2 just to see, like, let me see what it, and man, honestly, it's pretty damn nice, man. When you have enough light in there, it's really damn nice. So I started watching a couple videos on the HLD, whatever the heck it's called, the hybrid gamma log, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it seems like the skin tones are a little bit better using that profile. Yeah. I haven't run any tests myself, but that's a video I was thinking about doing myself, just standing there and just see the difference in the color profile using the same color profile. I mean,
yeah. People, I think I was reading some article that are talking about hybrid log gamma because they're using like a different color space, a more common color space that other cameras use for broadcast. So that is why skin tone is a little bit better on hybrid log gamma versus S-Log 2, 3, or the standard profiles in the camera.
Do you use a lot of log footage?
I honestly don't. Nowadays, believe it or not, I'm shooting no picture profile.
Oh, just straight out camera and then just kind of
straight out of camera. So I usually do picture profile 1, movie profile, and it's great. It's nice. I like it a lot. But I was speaking to one of my friends who's a tech rep at Sony, and he was telling me about dynamic range optimizer. And it's the thing that's already kind of like is set on default when you first got your camera. Like it's already on, and it's nice because it kind of maximizes your dynamic range for you. So I was shooting a pretty high contrasty scene, like highlights are like, super bright and shadows are like super dark. And I was just like, oh, it doesn't look that good with the picture profile that I was using, the movie profile. So I remember what he told me, and I turned it off and set the dynamic range optimizer, and I was actually pretty blown away by how my footage looks. And it looks really nice, Yeah. The colors are very like nicely saturated, very warm. I like it a lot. So I've just been experimenting for the past month, just shooting no picture profile and just relying heavily on dynamic range optimizer. Now, the thing is, I haven't really run any sort of big test to make any sort of comparison. Like, is there any sort of like image degradation if you let the camera kind of decide to do its own dynamic range optimizing? But to me, the videos that I shoot, especially YouTube, I kind of get my content out super quickly. I don't want to finesse with it too much in post-production. So getting a straight out of camera image looking that good already is good enough for me, at least.
Has anybody even noticed?
No, you know what? In fact, Armando Ferreira from Mondo Bytes.
Yeah, no,
big tech YouTuber. Yeah,
no, I'm friends with him. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. We were shooting the other day, and then he just texted me last night. He was like, "Dude, what picture profile were you using? Because the footage you shot for me looks super dope." And I was like, "No picture profile, man. Dynamic range optimizer." So there you go. That's my one and only validation right there that the dynamic range optimizer is a pretty damn good profile for the A7 III and the A7R3.
Yeah. So funny story about Armando. I bought his A7R2. Yeah. So when he sold it, so this is a funny thing. I'm really good friends with Carlos. I don't know if you know who he used to. I don't know if he still works for him, but he used to shoot a lot of video with him.
I think so. I remember talking to Armando at Condo. I think he mentioned something about it. Was Carlos his editor?
He edited and shot videos with him. Yeah.
He told me about that. Yeah.
So I know I got introduced to Armando through him when he started working there. And he one day, Carlos hits me up. It's always weird to say my own name, but so he hits me up and he's like, "Hey man,
are you the same person? Are you the Carlos?"
He's like, "Hey, Armando's gonna sell his A7R2." I was like, "For how much?" And then he gave me the price. It was like a year after the camera comes out. And I was like, "Oh my God, I got to get this." So within a day, I sold my GH4, and I just did a project, like a commercial project. And so I had this extra money. So I straight out, I was like, all right, boom. I hit him up, talked to him on Hangouts, and I was like, yeah, I want it. Here's the money. Send him the money. Man, kept the damn camera for like 2 extra weeks. He's like, "Oh, but if I give this to you now, I won't have anything to shoot with." I'm like, what the hell, man? Like I sat there with nothing. I have nothing to shoot my videos with for like 2 weeks because he said it and he didn't think that, he was going to sell the camera that fast. So He ended up, he ended up
Ouch.
keeping it for like 2 extra. I'm like, oh, I was dying, man. I was like, I need my camera. But no, with that, he had a specialized profile that he kind of created.
Hmm.
Which when he gave me the camera, I did not mess with the menus. I didn't do anything. In fact, I started learning the menus maybe, I would say just recently, within the last 7 months, I really started like trying to learn the menus. And at one point he called me back because he ended up getting he loved the camera so much he ended up buying it again. And then he was like, hey, you still got the picture profile created? I was like, dude, I haven't touched it at all. Like, I just turn that camera on, make sure it's in 4K 24, and I shoot. And then I do my, I color grade here and there, because you don't, whatever he did to it was a cool profile. So we ended up, I don't know, we were on for like an hour where we were going through the picture profile he had. So it ended up, that's the same picture profile I put on the 6300, and I copied that onto the 6500, and then I did the same thing with the A7 Mark III. And since then, I haven't really touched it. So that's why I said, like, the first time I decided to ever use like S-Log footage was when I got the A7 Mark III. And I was like, damn, this is actually great. It's pretty damn nice. Like, I heard stories about the S-Log 3 to not even try it out. So I just messed around with the S2. And it was pretty damn good, man. It's pretty nice. But yeah, that's my little story about Armando. I'm supposed to have him on. I asked him a while back. You were supposed to do it, and it's the same thing, man. It's hard to get everybody's schedules lined up, and I have weird hours because I have 2 kids, a wife, and a lot of times I can't make videos till late at night. And sometimes it's like, do I want to make a video, or am I just too damn lazy? So my schedules fluctuate. So a lot of times it's like, oh, let me see if I can get somebody around this time and see what happens. So I'm just thankful that you were like, yeah, sure, let's do it, man.
For sure, man, for sure. But and huge respect, because like I know it's tough. I have a lot of friends who are either working in industry or working for YouTube, and they tell me the same thing. It's like it's so hard to try to balance YouTube and like, family, especially family with kids. And then if they're entrepreneurs themselves who are running like a whole separate business, it's just like a whole nother beast
Yep.
to have to handle. And then I sometimes feel bad for complaining that I have a lot to do when really I'm not married yet. Just have a girlfriend, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, man, I shouldn't be this lazy. I gotta crank some videos out, man. There's other people out there who's changing diapers and making a YouTube video at the same day. I need to get my butt moving.
But you know what? Like, you pump enough quality content. That's the key, man. Especially in this space, like, you put out videos that are needed. Like, when the new alpha system comes out, you're on it. New lens comes out, you're on it. Software, you're
Thanks,
on
man.
it.
I try to
That's
be.
enough. That's enough. That's a lot right there. Like, you don't have to make a video every day. Like, I could imagine how that must be like for anyone who does that. That's got to be crazy. You have to have at least 2 other people working for you to be able to do something like that.
That's what I think too. And then I always think back to Casey Neistat, and I'm just like, how the heck does this guy freaking pump out a freaking video every single day?
Yeah, I was a big fan of him at one point.
Yeah, you got people like him who's
Yeah.
making all these videos, and you're just like, I don't need an editor. I'm just being lazy.
Yeah, but
That's
it's a
probably not true.
sacrifice. That's a sacrifice
It
what he
is.
did, because like, if you notice, like, it felt like he wasn't even married with a kid. It just felt
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, you shoot, let's say he shot for 5 hours, like randomly 5 hours, but he also knew what he wanted to shoot. Then he spent, 3, 4, 5 hours editing. Like, that's not a life. That's not a life at all. I don't know how he did it, but I mean, it paid off for him.
Oh yeah, it did. It did. So I'm just like looking at him. I'm just like, ah, man, I don't need an editor. I can just do this all by myself. But yeah, you're right. It's hard. I try. I wouldn't mind doing daily vlogs, but I don't think I'm as talented as he is, so I can't do it. So I just try to focus on what I do know and what I'm comfortable making. So just kind of sticking to that and making sure whatever video comes out is what I'm satisfied with.
Yeah, it's most of your videos are really informative and just well put together. So Your channel
Thanks,
didn't
man.
get to 50,000 for no reason. Like you put in the time and the effort. So I know I've seen it. I've seen. I don't always comment, but I've been watching for a while. And
Cool.
that's what sucks is as a creator, you're like always want people to comment, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't even comment half the time, so I got to start.
You're one of those lurkers.
Yeah. But I've been around. I got introduced to your co-host Danny, that one camera guy, through one of your live streams. Because I wasn't much of a live stream guy, and then all of a sudden I started getting into podcasting and all this stuff, and it was like, so as much as I want to watch you guys live stream, like I use your live stream for the next day, so that when I'm at work, I can have something to listen to for that hour and a half. So yeah, that's why I don't tune in live all the time. Because believe me, I want to, but I'm like, if I do it, then I'm not gonna have nothing to watch or listen to on the next day. So I don't always.
For sure, man. No worries. No worries. I mean, like I appreciate people who can stop by live, but I'm also very appreciative of people who would like listen to the podcast after the fact. Because when we're doing these live shows, definitely the element of it, the whole thing is being live and being able to interact with the host, especially host to the people who are watching. So when you're watching it after the fact, it seems like you're missing that element. So for people who watch after the fact, I really admire that. I really appreciate that, and thank you for watching it after the fact as well.
No, I like it, man. Yeah, you guys, you have a nice system. You got. I don't know how long it took you to get to that point, but you have a nice system where like you have your few topics, and you interact with the audience, and at the same time, you guys are giving us a lot of the information that a lot of us are looking for. So it's really it's a good little cast, man. You guys got going on.
We try.
And that joke that y'all you guys are done is funny, because I know anyone who's new is like, wait, I just found this. How you guys ending already?
Yeah, I appreciate all the little inside jokes that us and the viewers have created. I mean, like I'm honestly just shocked that every week we're getting like 250 people watching. That to me is like insane. 250 people who are tuning in, who are watching, who wants to like hear us talk. And the funny thing is, I feel like we're like a very non-traditional podcast, like we kind of just go off the wall. Like we're just like, today we'll just wing it, because the most important thing for us to do this, to do the show, is just to kind of have fun, kind of talk, because we always have a great time, me and Danny, just kind of talking about gear. So it's just fun to like kind of bring that to the people that are watching. So I'm glad we can share that excitement.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people love talking gear, man, because I mean I love listening to it. I'm like, oh man, I got that camera. I kind of want
to bring like other elements into it, because I watch like channels like Tony and Chelsea, and then they do like a little photo critique portion on their live show, and I'm like, man, we're not even showing anything on our channel yet people are still coming back and watch. I feel like we could be doing more. We could be adding like a little more spice to our live show. So.
And I'm sure you can, because but I mean your format is good right now, and I see where you're talking about, like to take it to the next level. You guys already use OBS. I mean that'll be the easiest thing to do, is just to throw a few slides in there and stuff like that. But actually, I'm sure you guys will have that done.
We just use Google Hangout. We don't even use OBS.
No, I remember you guys used it once, so I know you guys know how to use it, where you don't have to sit there and then try to learn and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean that'll be pretty cool. I know when you guys used it when you were in Vegas, right?
Oh yeah. I think we were using it to like show like a few things. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier if we're actually in the same like room to do the podcast, because then we don't run into hiccups of like bad streaming quality. Because if one of us hosted and one of us have a bad connection and we're the ones who's responsible to show photos, then it's not gonna look as good.
Yeah.
So I think if we're like together in one room with a very solid internet connection, I think we can do something like that. So
speaking of your studio, you moved it from did you move it from like the actual place that you were in? You just have an extra room that you weren't using. You decided to move in there.
Yeah, so my parents have a room that is vacant that they rent out to tenants. So pretty much the tenants their lease was up. They decided to move out. So I was like, okay, I like this room a lot more than my own room because, I sleep in there and like my bed takes up way too much space. So why not just pay my dad the rent. I'll be like, hey man, let me just pay the rent because you're gonna rent it out anyways. Why don't you just rent it to me
Yeah.
and I can turn it into a little shooting space? So
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening.
That's cool. That's cool. I I don't know if many people. I didn't know that. That's so it's in your parents' house then?
Yeah, this new space is in my parents' house. I mean, like it works out in my favor. I mean, like, I'm helping my parents back, and
Yeah,
plus,
yeah.
they don't have to like rent it out to any random strangers. It's a big, nice room with AC, with everything in here. So it's a really nice little production space that I've converted into.
How long did it take for you to get into a rhythm like with between shooting and editing? Because once you start pumping out, at least 2 videos a week, you probably got into a rhythm, and then now it's just like, okay, I know exactly how I'm gonna do it every time. Boom, boom, boom. Go from that. Like, how long did that take you to get to that point?
Honestly, I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out right now. Like I'm honestly all over the place when
Really?
it comes to shooting videos because I like for the past 2 years for this channel, it's sort of like me either hesitating on making a video or I get like a very spontaneous feeling of making a video, so I just make it. So I kind of act on my intuition, like when should I make a video? And it's kind of because it's hard for me to like plan and shoot.
Yeah, that's how I am.
So
I can't do that from
yeah,
that. Like scripting and then everything I do is pretty much off the cuff.
yeah. I think that is honestly better and more natural because I try scripting videos. I tried having yeah, it just doesn't work, because like you just kind of miss that raw reaction and natural delivery. So for me now, I would say instead of probably like a rhythm of making videos, I would say for me, I kind of discovered that it's best for me to make a video that I feel very strongly about right away. Like I used to have write up a bunch of ideas and try to like make a video every week based on the ideas that I had 2 months ago. It doesn't work out that way because you kind of lose the feeling of making that video. You kind of lose the passion of what you want to say about that particular topic. So for me now, it's like, okay, these next couple of weeks, what am I excited about? What I really want to talk about? What are my freshest experience that I can draw from? And
Yeah.
I make a video on that and I get that video done in 2 days or less. So that includes pre-production, writing, production, editing, and uploading. All that needs to be done within 2 days of that particular topic. Now, there's an exception to that, obviously, for major reviews like my user experience reviews, ones that do take a while to craft up, to research, and to prepare. That I'll take as long as I need to. But for like quick videos, for me to release on a weekly basis, that's my system right now.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, that's very similar to where I'm at. Like my best videos come, well, even if they don't get a lot of views for me, my best videos come when it's like I act upon it right away. Like, okay, I got the idea, I
Exactly.
know exactly what I got to do, and I just start shooting, editing, and stuff like that. That's yeah. So that's cool. That's cool to know that I'm not I'm not alone in that department. Like, all right, I can't.
Right. I mean, like, if you wait too long on making a video, you just sort of lose passion. And I see that a lot with a lot of people that I talk to, including my friends. They're just like, oh, I have this great idea for a video. I have this great idea for a video. But I'm not ready to execute on it yet. And then by the time they are, or they wait too long from then, they're just like, yeah, I don't want to make it anymore. I don't have time. I'm too busy. And they sort of fizzle out and like um, lose the motivation to make the video. So for me, it's just like, okay, I have the motivation now. I might as well just capitalize on it. I might as well just make it now. You know,
It's smart, and it's good that you're aware of that, because it's like, have you hit that YouTube wall yet? Like, where you just like, oh, do I want to keep doing this?
I would say, yeah, I would often hit that wall, to be honest with you. I mean, like, I think a lot of people kind of go through it. Anybody who's on the platform would just be like, oh, is this worth doing? Is this worth going? It's just sort of like you kind of let the negativity kind of like catch up to you.
Yeah.
So it's just always good to like kind of take a step back and always kind of like look at the positivity of things, kind of look back at like, you know, how many people you're helping and are you really enjoying, you know, you always have to like kind of audit yourself. So for me, I often do hit the wall, and it kind of sucks because you're just like, ah, man, like I'm not doing a good job. You know, you're watching like other people doing their craft, and you're just like, ah, man, they're doing so much better than me. They're editing so on point. They're shooting so on point. They're getting way more subscribers. But it's just at that, I'm still working on it myself. But I would say always kind of take a step back and just kind of appreciate what you have, to appreciate the things that's going for you, appreciate the people. You know, just kind of worry about your own followers, your own little following, and just know that these are the people that follow you, and these are the people that admire your work and value what you do, and always wants to listen to your opinion rather than someone else's opinion. So you kind of have to remind yourself every time that there are people who you matter to. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's the key. I mean, it's definitely the key. Have you thought about doing other channels, or are you just sticking to this one and just keeping it going from there?
Oh, all the time, just like thinking about like, you know, what can I do to like do something that's different from camera stuff and like expand on my creativity. But also at the same time, it's like, oh man, that's just like another aspect of work that I have to worry about, and having to like create content for that. So it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Instead of creating a new channel, I would say I'd probably would try to expand from my current one right now. Like a lot of my friends kind of tell me like, hey, like you should try to expand out of Sony, like not necessarily expand out of the camera and use a different camera, but more like kind of go into like different gear, like lights, go into sound, go into like, you know, kind of expand.
Which you have. You have.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. So I want to focus a little bit more on the basics of photography, basics of videography, where I can share the knowledge, not necessarily about Sony cameras, but more of like the basic principles of things that could be applied throughout different camera systems.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I noticed on your channel, like you do, I mean, yes, you're known as a Sony guy, but you do light reviews. You do, you know, you have your input on other aspects of the I don't necessarily want to call it the tech space, but I guess, yeah, the tech space.
Yeah.
Because you know what I've noticed?
My friends tell me to do tech too.
Yeah. The thing I've noticed, like I got into it just purely for the tech aspect of it, right? And then for me, what happens with, at least within the like last year, it's morphed into, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but it's morphed into more like falling in love with the gear aspect of it, as much as like reviewing, oh, here's a speaker, like really fall in love with the cameras and lighting and stuff. So moving more in your direction is where I'm seeing myself start to gravitate more, just because it's interesting to me more compared to just like reviewing, you know, a keyboard or a phone. Like I hate phone reviews. But like, yeah, going into that direction now, and like, who knows like where my audience is or at the point, because when I first started out, I was doing tech reviews, and then my profession is I'm a barber. So I was like, oh, okay. I was early on. I had barber videos on my channel too. And people, like, there was like a small little audience that started growing. And it got to a point where I was posting a tech video and a barber video. And then it got to a point where I didn't know who my audience was.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake to keeping that for a long time. And like my most popular video is a barber video. And I'm like, oh God, this is not the channel. So I ended up creating just recently. Not too long, a couple months ago, I ended up trying to tell like people like, all right, anyone who's in here for this aspect, I'm creating a whole nother channel. I'm just gonna upload anything I have already into that channel, and then I'll carry on as I go. So I think I made a mistake there. But for you, I think that you gravitating into other aspects of photography, videography, lighting, whatever, I think it still fits in the realm of what you do already. So as long as you're not cutting hair, you'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. I think like if I again like you just that's what you're saying. I mean, like if you start doing something that's like contrastingly too different from what you're already doing, then yeah, you're gonna hit some sort of you're gonna clash with your current audience with that. So definitely. I mean, like I want to start a new YouTube channel, but it's just like what it's just another work. So it's just better. I think it's just better to kind of build on top of what you have. So
And I think you uploading vlogs, I think would be just fine. I think would be more than, I think, in fact, I think that is where a lot of the tech creators are starting to, I started messing around with doing that maybe 2 years ago. I just got burnt out just doing stupid like, oh, here's a phone, here's a camera, here's a more like, hey, this is part of my daily life and this is something I have now. So I think for you, I know people are very interested in your life. And I know as a creator, everybody's like, my life is boring. Nobody wants to see this. But I think you have an audience that actually does.
I hope so.
I think so, because if you look at what you've done as far as like when you go to places like if you're in Vegas for, NAB or something, people are interested in your trip as much as they're interested in what you've seen there.
Yeah, definitely. I have friends who are telling me like you should do behind the scenes for all your wedding shoots. I'm like, no, nobody wants to see that. People just would see me freaking out half the time.
But they might want to see that.
They might want to see that. Yeah, maybe it'll be hilarious to them, right? Like I'm just like, oh my God, did you mic the groom? No. Did you mic the officiant? No. And we're just like freaking out. Like, I don't know. That's I can just tell you guys what happened at weddings, but like to show you guys like our anxiety level going like off the roof. Maybe that'd be hilarious. Maybe that'd be a fun thing to watch.
Hey, try it out. See what happened. I think the response will be pretty damn good. Because I think your audience
we can make a whole comedy show out of it.
Well, see, then you don't have to create another channel. You already got it.
Yeah, maybe. I'm hoping. Maybe we'll do a behind the scenes for this Saturday's wedding. Got to clear it with the couple first, but yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Do it, man. I think that's how Craig Adams like really blew up when he started really showing the aspects of like what it is to shoot a wedding. Like I didn't, I've thought about shooting a wedding, but I watched his videos because it was like just interesting to see like what it takes, and like, damn, this dude shot a whole wedding. In the process of shooting, he edited the video for them and gave it to him the same. Like, that dude is crazy.
Yeah, Craig, much respect to him, man. Like, I did it behind the scenes for him, and
oh wow,
he's super calm. Like he knows what to do. He's never freaking out. He's like he take whatever shot that he gets, he's a one-take wonder, man. He just gets the shot, he gets it done. Everything that he gets on his camera is like pretty much like usable. And I'm just like here shooting our wedding, so I was like, that shot is bad. Let me just redo this one more time.
Hey, you know yourself, and that's key though. Knowing your strengths.
Yeah, definitely. So I would definitely spin it a little different from how Craig does his beat behind the scenes. I probably want to bring in like a little bit more of a fun aspect as well. But Craig's super informative guy.
Yeah. So who are some of the people who I don't want to say inspired you, but it's gotten you to up your game?
A lot of people. A lot of my friends who are doing YouTube, Danny, that one camera guy, Sydney Diongzin, Atola Visuals, James Matthews. I mean, like every time you just go into like a creative, like just meet up with a fellow creative, you're like going to a spot where there's a lot of creatives and you're just like wow, you know, you kind of learn from each other. You kind of like understand like just sort of like how they do their work, you know, how they're making their money, and like you kind of like sort of like go there, trade information, kind of learn from each other, understand from each other, and you go home and you're just like, man, I'm not doing enough. I gotta be doing a lot more. I gotta like spice up and amp up my game. So I would say a lot of my friends who are on the YouTube space, and even friends who are not in the YouTube space, inspire me. So
That's cool. What was it? Oh man, it just left my train of thought. What okay, so now that you're, you know, you hit the 50K mark, right? And your audience has grown, you have a steady, like, you know, following where you upload a video and you know within an hour you're gonna have a couple thousand views. And now you're starting to hang out with some of these bigger YouTubers. Like, what is that experience like for you?
it's pretty surreal. Pretty surreal because like, you know, when I go to even events, even like Sony events, and like you see like these big YouTubers like DP Review, or formerly TCS TV guys, Chris Nichols and them, or Tony and Chelsea, or Matt Granger, Frono's Photo, you're just like, damn, I used to watch you guys. I mean, I still do, but like it's just more like, man, I used to follow you guys to the T. Like you know, and like being at like a relatively similar level when you're at these press events, kind of covering the new camera gear. It's just like, wow, you know, it's hard not to fanboy when you're like near them. So I try not to like embarrass myself.
But are you getting a little used to it? Because I'm sure like they're
oh no, not used to it. Not used to it at all.
Have you okay, who's someone who you never thought watched your channel all of a sudden come up to you like, hey, what's up, Jason? I seen your stuff.
Let's see. There's probably I think the channel three blind men.
I've heard of him. I don't know if I've ever seen anything, but I've heard of him.
Yeah. Hugh Brown. I never thought I never thought he would watch my channel, but at Sony Condo, he just came up to me and he was like, Jason, big fan of your channel. I was like, oh damn. And like Armando Ferreira as well. I'm just like, dude, you know me? Like, dude, you're like 300K subs, man. Why do you know me?
Yeah, why you coming to me for info?
Yeah, what the heck? Like or like Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter. It's
yeah,
like,
he's
what?
Cool
you
dude.
Watch my stuff, like, dude.
I think I seen him in your comments. I was like, oh snap, look at this.
Yeah, right. It's just like, whoa, you know, you don't expect these guys to like drop in to your live show, and then like in real life, you're just like, oh yeah, I watch your stuff, and I was like, what? I think the first time that happened to me was like with Max Urif. We were like we like made eye contact at like NAB, but I fully expect him not to know me. So I just kind of went up to him like, hey Max, big fan of your video. But then like he looked at me in a way where it's just like, oh man, I've seen your stuff, man. Like I know who you are. And I was like, you know, it's very surreal. It's still very surreal.
Yeah, Max channel took off I wanted to say this past year, where it was just like all of a sudden he was at every event. Like, how the hell is he getting to all these events?
Oh, dude, Max does a lot of great work.
Yeah, he does. He
deserves way more subs though, for sure. He does such detail like comparison reviews, and I mean like a lot of these YouTube guys, they do great work too. So like any chance that I can reference them and their work, I do it just because like, you know, we're out there making reviews. We all find like different things, and like obviously you have people who do specific tests on the cameras, which, you know, like why would you need to replicate those tests when there's a pretty freaking amazing one out there already? So like Max did like a great low light test, and I'm just like, I don't need to replicate this low light test. He already got a great one out, so I'm just be like, hey, go check out Max. You know, like he has a great low light test, or like anybody, you know, like anybody. So I just feel like we all kind of work together to like that's the way I see it. I just see like reviewers as like collaborators, you know, like people who kind of discover some certain features or certain things about a camera that they share, and like you kind of just like learn from them and they learn from you. So yeah.
So where do you see your like what do you see your channel like going in the next like year or two? Like are you starting to implement new things?
I don't know. Every time I like kind of like sit there and kind of think about my channel, like where I want to take it, it always ends up being different in the next couple of months. And it kind of goes back to what we're saying about, kind of making things in the moment. What I really enjoy right now is like making just user experience videos, just kind of like interacting with my audience. So I think those aspects of my channel will stay consistent for the next year or so. But I think in terms of incorporating new content, I definitely do want to go on a more educational route. So that's something that I've been doing, but not on scale. I want to like incorporate more tutorials on how I shoot and how to shoot certain things. So I would say I would want to bring a more educational aspect to the channel. So for example, it's wedding season right now. So I want to create like a series of like wedding videos for the next 3 months. Yep. And then after wedding season dies down, I want to focus a little bit more on basic photography, basic videography. So I want to give that a shot.
That's cool, man. That's your channel is only going to keep getting better and better because the fact that you're even thinking about that stuff, I can't. You asked me that question, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have no clue. Whenever I can, I make a video. That's when I can do it.
Honestly, that's the best. I mean, like, if that's the best thing, like, just do what you can. Just do what you can with the available resources that you have and the time that you have.
Yeah, yeah. So, any advice for upcoming creators?
Just keep on going, man. Just keep doing it. Like, forget the views, forget money and all that stuff when you're like growing your YouTube channel. Just keep going at it. Just keep making just handy videos. I feel like, yeah, just like find your niche, find something in your niche that not a lot of people know, and just really talk about it, really hammer it out and put it on YouTube. And not only that, but really, I'd say really kind of spread that knowledge outside of YouTube. Make that YouTube video and just spread it to places that, people who would share that same niche with you would enjoy. So I would say that's the best way to grow your YouTube channel. That's how I grew my YouTube channel, at least.
That's good advice. Very good advice. What's your favorite camera to date?
Favorite camera? Ooh. I'd say, man, it has to be right now with the A7R III. It's my favorite camera right now.
Yeah, the hybridness of the 42 megapixels is pretty damn amazing, and
42 megapixels quality, yeah, videos and everything. I honestly like it more than my A7 III, and it'd be my default run and gun video and photo camera.
Yeah, now autofocus is just a hair slower, maybe at most.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really notice it when I'm out there shooting. So probably on paper, yeah, it's probably a little bit slower.
Yeah, but it's still, that was actually the camera I was leaning towards. And because I had a 5D Mark IV, and I was like, man, I'm getting rid of this thing. I just don't like the workflow I have to do. So I was like, I'm going to sell this and get the A7R III. And then literally within a week after me making my mind up, I was like, yeah, I'll even have a couple $100 more I could throw on a lens or something. And then they announced the A7 Mark III, and I was like, that's what I want now. And then I was like, damn, I got this extra money, so now I can. So I ended up ordering this stupid pre-order for the Tamron lens. So yeah, I ended up getting the Mark III, and then now I'm waiting for the damn lens. But you guys have come across some valuable information that has caused them to have to throw a firmware update pretty soon. So thank you, and damn, I think that's gonna back up my pre-order even more.
No worries, man. Got you guys. I got you guys.
Yeah, and I mean it's cool. So the R3, yeah, that's a fantastic camera.
Yeah, I'm sure if I had the 7 III first, I probably would not get the A7R III. But the fact that I've used it, got a chance to use it and then get the 7 III and use that, it's just like, okay, I can see what the A7 III is lacking. I can see where certain aspects of it just obviously isn't gonna catch up to something like a $3,000 camera. So obviously, like when you use both cameras after a while, you kind of understand like, okay, the A7R III does have some of its perks that makes it worth spending the extra $1,000 for. But if you're coming in fresh into the system, A7 III, oh, it's fantastic.
Yes, I can concur with that statement. So my thoughts are they're gonna release the, I mean, we don't know if this is a name, but the A6700, and then the A7 III will come out. I think A7 III will probably be around November, October. Is that when they start releasing the big cameras?
A7S III, probably. I mean, like, I would say October. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised they dragged it out to like early next year.
Yeah, so. I think so. Especially if they bring out the 6700.
Yeah.
Which
A6700. I don't know. Like I don't want to say like it's impossible, but I feel like they might also hold that out.
Yeah.
Next year. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna come out anytime soon.
Yeah, well, they just had the Mark 6 come out for the RX 100.
Yeah,
it just seems like every few months now they're just throwing up a new camera. But it's like, how much more do they have in there? Like, I think they know that people really want the 4K 60, and they're like, well, I don't. Do you think they have the 4K 60 already on it?
I think they're gonna put it in. They have to.
Could it be like the flip out screen thing? I don't think they're ever gonna do a flip out screen.
What's interesting? What's an interesting theory that I heard about the flip out screen is because Canon has it patented.
Okay.
So the flip screen patented, so it's just sort of like royalties they would have to pay to put the flip screen on their cameras. That's just a theory. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
But that's what I hear is the reason that they don't put the flip out screen on the Sony cameras.
Don't everybody use Sony sensors?
I don't know if Canon uses Sony sensor, do they?
I don't know anything about doesn't, that. Right? every time you find out there's a sensor, you find out it's made by Sony. Like every camera on the smartphone seems like it's made by Sony.
Yeah.
And then I think Nikon, the GH4, right? Wasn't the GH4 also using a Sony sensor?
GH5S, I know they were using a Sony sensor. I think that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy though.
They need to give it to us. I mean, I don't know. With these cameras, you just kind of get like, I'm gonna buy a monitor anyways, because just a bigger monitor is good. The only thing about the flip out screen is for vlogging. That's it. But once you start vlogging a little bit with like, let's say you use like a 63 or 6500, and you have the 16 to whatever, you start real like, you know what I'm saying? Like the framing aspect only comes in play when you put the camera down. And at that point, you're like, okay, I got the camera down. I have it angled. I don't know if I'm in frame, but whatever, let's find out. And you just do your thing. And then you're like, okay, I was in frame. It doesn't come into play that much. Like, I know everybody makes a big deal about it, but I think once you use it a few times and you already trust the autofocus, like the aspect of framing yourself is not a big deal. I think you learn how to do that really easy, naturally, after maybe like a week of using it and doing it. Like every time I vlogged, I don't think it's ever come across to me. The only time it's come across is if I put the camera down and I'm gonna do a shot where maybe I'm walking up to the camera. I'm like, okay, is my head gonna be chopped off here? That's the only time I ever think about it. But other than that, it's like you're holding it and you just like, I'm sure I'm in frame.
Yeah, I think like once you get used to it, like you already know how to position the camera and fit yourself into frame.
Oh, well, man, I appreciate it, man. We've been on for a little bit. I don't want to take it too much more of your time. Really, thank you for taking time and hanging out, man. It's been a cool conversation. I'll try to post this up in the next day or two. It was good, man. It was good to get to know you a little bit. You know, I've been watching you from afar and stuff like that. And I just felt like, man, this guy I wanted to, you know, have on my channel, just chit chat, get to know a little bit. So I appreciate you taking the time, man.
No worries, man. It was a lot of fun, man. Happy to come back next time.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely do it again. Guys, I'm gonna leave all his links down in the description, not the comments, in the description of this video. So whenever you get a chance, go check him out. His name is Jason Vong. He's an up and coming superstar in the YouTube game. So if you haven't heard of him, I'm sure you will now. So guys, go check him out. Go subscribe to him. And that's about it. Later.
You can't see it, but I'm blushing.